Present day. Present time.
Greetings, folks. This is going to be a bit of a little bit of a different video than some of my other Bonzo on MMA videos, where I kind of go over all of the go over UFC cards. It's the 24th, technically, like just past midnight on the 24th, and Dana White's Contender Series just finished. Dana White, during the Contender Series, he likes to go on and he likes to have discussions about certain things that happen. He likes to do his post-fight press conference. They last about an hour because there's a lot of questions that get asked. Things like Colby, things like Gilbert, things like Kamaru. But that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Obviously, we're going to go over the recent card and Leon Edwards actually winning the title. That's going to be something we talk about, but that's not really what I want to focus this video on. What I really want to focus this video on are the champions and the fact that pretty much everyone within this list has almost extensively for the last 2 or 3 years been involved almost exclusively within rematches. And I think that does a major disservice, not only to the champion, but also to the divisions that they're in. And I'll go through the list, and here, you'll be able to see it with me. We have Francis Ngannou. How did Francis Ngannou win the title? He won the title after beating who? Stipe Miocic. When did he beat Stipe Miocic? UFC 260. That was 2021. So that was a rematch of a fight that they already had. Then he went on to face Cyril Gane at UFC 270 in a unification bout. Again, that was this year, at the start of this year, 2022. So that wasn't a rematch, but Francis Ngannou within the title picture has fought within a rematch. If we want to say, hey, you know what? Let's not look at Francis. Let's look at just Stipe. Stipe is another example of rematches. Who has Stipe fought most of the time against? Daniel. He's fought Daniel 3 times. And yes, he's lost to Daniel on UFC 226. That was in 2018. But then he won that title back, and then he faced him again. So for essentially 2 years, from 2018 to 2020, August 15th, 2020, it was the Daniel and Stipe show in the heavyweight picture. There was no one else that was getting any sort of consideration within the heavyweight title picture. And I know people will say, well, Stipe beat Francis, and Stipe beat Junior, and Stipe beat Alistair. And that's fair, 100% fair. He was the most winningest heavyweight champion at that point, from my understanding, and he still is, if I'm not mistaken. But the same kind of argument can be made here is that, who has he fought other than the same guy over and over again? And when you start going down through the list of champions, it's the exact same picture. Again, thank God for the light heavyweight division, because this is one of the few divisions where, that hasn't happened. You can say, John and DC, they fought a couple of times, but that was almost 7 years ago. John has done a very good job of fighting people outside of just the normal people that he's faced, which I love about John. John's done a very good job of actually facing various contenders and not facing the same guy over and over again. And while, yes, we can all sit here and say, but he fought DC multiple times. And yes, he did fight DC multiple times. But I don't think that really kind of holds any merit here, because, again, that was almost 7 years ago. We're looking at 2 years ago, and most of these guys, most of these champions, again, have not really fought people outside of rematches. I will say, fantastic for Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, and Yuri Prochazka. But what's the next title fight in light heavyweight? It's Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. And if it's not that, it's Yuri Prochazka versus Jan Blachowicz. So if it's not the rematch, it's a new match. But even then, we know that Glover is going to be waiting in the wings. So irregardless of who wins the Yuri Prochazka or Jan Blachowicz fight for the title, it's going to be a rematch. So there is still a bit of a caveat there, insofar as, while currently we have the top 3 guys that have not essentially all faced each other yet, they're going to get to a point where we're going to run into the same issues with these other divisions. Middleweight, another example. Marvin Vettori, Israel Adesanya's faced him already. Robert Whittaker, he's faced him already. And Alex Pereira, who he's fighting next in New York, he's fought him already twice. These are rematches. Again, going down the list, now we have welterweight. Kamaru Usman's entire title reign was based off what? Him rematching guys he already beat. Colby Covington, he fought twice. Jorge Masvidal, he fought twice. Even Leon Edwards, what was that fight meant to be? That was meant to be kind of a comeback fight for him to say, hey, look, I've actually cleaned out the entirety of the division. I've lapped everyone in the division. I've beaten everyone twice in the division. Who else is left for me? And he got beat by Leon Edwards. And now we all know, through confirmation through both Dana as well as through Khabib, kind of confirming it through Ali Abdulaziz, is that the next fight is Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, number 3 in London, England, probably at Wembley Stadium. We'll have to see about where it is exactly, but we know for a fact that it's going to be another rematch for the welterweight title. We get to lightweight. Lightweight is a little bit more interesting because we have a couple of guys that are actually facing each other for the title, but it's the same guys in the title picture. Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje are the two big names that have been constantly in the lightweight title picture since 2018 when Khabib was champ. And again, we can sit here and say, yeah, it is what it is, but like at the same token, lightweight and everything below it, I would argue from 1 to 15, those guys throughout the entirety of the division, anyone can win. There isn't a single person in the top 15 that I don't think has the potential of beating another one of those top 15 guys. And I know that a lot of people are going to sit here and say, oh, that's not possible. What did we see? What did we see on Saturday? We saw Kamaru Usman essentially for 3 rounds after the first round beat up Leon Edwards and then get head kicked and put to sleep. Anything can happen in the UFC. Anything. So don't put it past any of these lightweights in the top 15 to be able to knock out Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, or even, Islam Makhachev if he ends up becoming champion at UFC 280. So, again, this division is up for grabs. This division is totally, available for anybody to win. But what's happening? We have the same guys fighting within the title picture within the past 2-3 years, and that's unacceptable. Moving right along to featherweight, what do we have here? Again, a bit of a similar story. Alexander Volkanovski's fought Max Holloway 3 times. The first time he fought him was in 2019. So yes, we can make that 3-point argument. But again, the last time he fought him was in 2022, and it was July. So that was last month. He fought him last month. And before that, it was 2 years ago. And while, yes, you can say that Brian Ortega and Korean Zombie are 2 kind of interesting fights to throw in there, the only one that we can reasonably say is a really good fight was Brian Ortega. And I mean insofar as a guy that's actually worth being there in the title picture. But even then, we know from his fight against Max Holloway is that he doesn't have what it takes to cut it as a champion. And that's not to say that Brian can't be a champion. It's just at the moment, there are guys that are better than him. It happens. It is what it is. But again, going back to it, it's these guys, these champions, they're facing the same people over and over and over again, as opposed to fighting people within the top 5. It'll be interesting to see who Alexander Volkanovski fights next, but to be honest, he's made it very clear he has no interest in fighting at featherweight anymore. He wants to go and fight at at lightweight. So again, it throws the entirety of this featherweight title into jeopardy. And what's more than likely going to happen is our dear friend Max Holloway is going to end up fighting for that vacant featherweight title when Volkanovski jumps up. So we'll have another champion again who's probably going to be facing other people again in a similar scenario where it's rematches. And again, if fans like this, that's fine. But me, personally, I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of watching these rematches. I want to see some new blood. That's why I'm really excited for the Bantamweight division, where you have guys like Petr Yan, who's fighting Sean O'Malley. What business do these 2 guys have fighting one another? None. But they're going to. But even then, it's like, what's happened here in this division? Since 2020, the title has kind of been just like a toss-up between Yan and Sterling. We've just been held hostage essentially for 2 years while those 2 guys have been kind of having a bit of a back and forth toss up about who's going to be the champ. TJ Dillashaw is fighting Aljo next for the title. Interesting, but TJ's already been in the title picture. He's won the title twice. Corey Sandhagen, he's fought Aljo before. Again, we're seeing the same stagnant names at the top. And then we get the flyweight. And I know everybody's loved the last 3 between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. But again, that's 3 fights in a row. 3 fights in a row between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. And, oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, it's 3 fights in a row. Deiveson Figueiredo fought Brandon Moreno. They drew. Then they fought again. Brandon Moreno won. Then Deiveson Figueiredo won the rematch. And then in the meantime, Brandon Moreno won an interim title against Kai Kara-France. And now he, again, is going to face Deiveson Figueiredo for a 4th time. Because, again, we need a 4th rematch as opposed to new blood fighting for the title. 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, I've literally shown you how every single current UFC champion has essentially been fighting the same contenders or people that they've already fought within the men's division anyway, over and over again. The news has come out essentially that what's going to be par for the course is the champions are going to continue to fight rematches. Fuck that. I don't want to watch that. I don't think anybody wants to watch that. I don't give a shit how good the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 18, 19, 20 fucking fights were between people. I'm just getting sick of seeing the same names and the same faces kind of essentially fight for titles. I don't think that's fair. I really don't. And to be honest, you know, when we look at these rankings, because I'm sorry, I'm just going to pull them up right now. It's like, let's go through it. We'll go from heavyweight down. Tai Tuivasa is fighting Cyril Gane, if I'm not mistaken. What's Stipe doing? Stipe's available. If I'm not mistaken, John is also available. So Stipe and John, there's 2 right there. Marcin Tybura had a great win. Why isn't Marcin Tybura getting pushed forward? What about Volkov? Why isn't Volkov getting pushed forward? I know Aspinall had that injury, so it's a bit of a shame there, and we have Curtis kind of sitting on the side. There's another name for John. Give us something new, something interesting. Then you have light heavyweight. You have Ankalaev, who's been making a massive surge. Where's his title shot? You have Rakic too, who's also making a similar massive surge. Jamal Hill, who's also making a similar massive surge. Paul Craig, who's also making a similar massive surge. Where are these guys' fights towards the title, or at least contentious fights in main events? I know Jamal Hill fought recently, but again, why does it have to be these 3? What about the rest of the division? We have 3, we have 6. We have these guys here, 10, that are worth watching. Alex Pereira, who's at number 5. That's a rematch. We've seen that already. What about Jack Hermanson? Jack Hermanson's been quietly building a steady, a steady resume, fighting guys. Marvin Vettori and Jared Cannonier are going to fight again, and we know, or are going to fight rather, and the winner of that fight is more than likely going to fight Israel Adesanya or the winner, Alex Pereira and the winner of their fight. But again, what about Jack Hermanson? What about Andre Muniz? What about Imanov? Like, there are these names that are just like surging within the division, not getting the respect that they deserve. What about Colby? Colby's been sitting on the shelf in welterweight. What's he doing? Khamzat's fighting Nate Diaz. Why is Khamzat fighting Nate Diaz? How does that fight make any sense? Nate Diaz is not ranked, and he's fighting Nate Diaz. I don't understand some of these choices. I think lightweight's moving in the right direction. Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev are fighting, and I think that the winner of that fight is more than likely going to fight Beneil Dariush. And I think Beneil Dariush is fighting someone, and the winner of that fight, Mateusz Gamrot. I think the winner of that fight is more than likely going to be the next number 1 contender, and thank God, because I don't want to see Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, or Michael Chandler anywhere near the title picture. I don't want to see them. Like, in the title fights that they've had, they haven't grown as fighters. They've just kind of used the exact same things that they've learned, and it's not worked out for them. So why the fuck are they getting more title shots? Don't give it to them. Give it to other people. There are other people. Fiziev too. Fiziev looks good as well. There's so many people in this top 15 of fucking lightweight that you can give a title shot to, as opposed to the same fucking assholes over and over again. Again, sorry to Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, but you guys have not changed. You haven't improved in the past 2-3 years to warrant you guys getting another fucking title shot. Featherweight. You have guys like Josh Emmett, Calvin Kattar. What about Giga Chikadze? What about Movsar Evlov? What about these guys, Why aren't they getting their shot? Bantamweight, we're seeing TJ get his shot up, but what about Mirab? Mirab just beat Jose. He should be getting a shot too. Pedro Munez, Ricky Simon, and Umar Nurmagomedov, they're set to fight, or rather Umar Nurmagomedov's called for a Ricky Simon fight. That's a fun fight. And potentially that's a fight within a year or two that could potentially be a title fight or a title rematch, which is interesting. So maybe that's something that the UFC holds off on. I don't know. But again, do we need to see TJ fucking Dillashaw in another goddamn fucking title fight? No, man. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see fucking cheater TJ Dillashaw in a title fight. Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. Why? You know, there's Alexandra Pantoja. You know, there's Askar Askarov. There's Alex Perez. There's Amir Albazi. There's a number of these guys. There's Tagir Ulanbekov. You know, there's Manel Kopp. There's Tim Elliott. There's so many of these names within these divisions, all of these divisions, really, that you can look to and you can say, hey, look, you know, we've set on a couple of names and we've really built them and they really haven't been able to grow from there. So let's look to other names. But no. We're stuck with the same fucking names. We're stuck with the same fucking champions. We're stuck with the same fucking title rematches. And I think it's a shame. I really do. I think that Sean Shelby and Dana and the rest of the booking crew has done a really piss poor job of managing their champions' title reigns. And I say that not in offense to the champions, because I don't think it's their fault. They're not the ones who sit there and say, hey, look, I want this. You know, book this fight, book that fight, book this fight, book that fight. You know, it's whatever the company wants to, and the company thinks that, you know, there's a lot of money to be made on these rematches, and to be quite honest, for a number of these, I don't think so. I just don't think so. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear if you think I'm a total fucking jackass and have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about, or if you agree with me and you're absolutely fucking sick and tired of watching these stupid ass fucking, you know, stupid dumbass rematches in the UFC. It's not worth it anymore for me. It's just not worth it. I'm getting a lot of fun out of these fight night cards where we're getting, you know, like I said, a lot of these names, within these like upper tier division, like Bryce Mitchell. You know, I'm excited to see guys like Bryce Mitchell get, you know, main events. You know, he's fighting Edson Barbosa. Oh, sorry, no, he fought Edson Barbosa and he won. But like, again, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it would be fantastic to see a guy like Bryce Mitchell fight, you know, a Brian Ortega to highlight a fight night card, and one of those guys gets a shot at the title next. I think that would be fantastic. I don't think there's many people who would disagree with that, but that's the thing, is we need to start building these guys, and I just don't think that we're doing enough of that yet. We need to start building these guys into some of these title fights. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you later, and I'll see you on Friday for our breakdown of UFC France. Peace.